Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the PodUP with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. PodUP, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Back to the Crime Prevention Security System studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. I want to thank Buddy Martin for joining us. Now we're going to go back to the Titan MR hotline. And we're joined by our good friend, UF Hall of Famer, Kerwin Bell. Good morning, Kerwin. How are you?
Yeah, doing good, Shane.
All right. Well, Kerwin, first of all, let everyone know what Kerwin Bell's been up to. This has got to be the first year. You're probably, about 55, I'm guessing?
Yep.
First time you really haven't been coaching or playing in a long time, right?
You're right. I was thinking about that the other day. I've when I went down to South Florida a couple of years ago, signed a 2-year contract. So, that happened last year with the South Florida group and Coach Strong, and we got let go there. And so, everything happened so late. We went into this season, then with the pandemic stuff, all that going on. It's just sort of been thrown up in the air. Thought I had a chance to go down to Florida there, but with the pandemic stuff, they sort of froze the hiring stuff, and I had opportunity to go. So it was disappointing. I really wanted to be a part of that, but sort of as an analyst deal just between my contracts. But I'm enjoying myself. I'm losing weight, trying to get in shape. I've lost about 47 pounds. I'm trying to get back to my playing weight. And just go from there. I just went up and see my oldest son. Cade's up coaching with Jerry Odom. He's offense coordinator up at Tuscaloosa. So me and my wife just went up there this past weekend. So trying to stay involved, doing a lot of football video and trying to get my playbook more organized and better. And I'm talking to other people and doing some football meetings with some other coaches. So it's been a good time.
Yeah, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Gary. Gary says, ask Kerwin, is he ready to get back into coaching?
Well, yeah, I'm looking for a good opportunity, So, the way it works is usually in January and February is the time to, for that to happen, December. So, just putting together my resume and reaching out to people. I've got an agent that's working for me. So, we'll see what happens. Want to get back into it. And, there's still a lot out there left. And I'm looking forward to hopefully being an OC or a head coach somewhere, whatever level. I love running a program. I love being able to put together a program. We were able to do that at Valdosta State in 3 years, took a program that was really down at the time. And in 3 years, we built into a national championship program. So that was fun to be able to bring in players and to win it with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores that we recruited and build that culture. I think that's important that I think a lot of coaches talk about, but, very few people can do it. I sort of been blessed to be able to create that kind of culture with young men and that winning culture. And so I love being able to do that. And I'll look forward to getting back into it.
Yeah, Kerwin. So, once you were done playing, you played a long time in the Canadian League, and then you went and basically started the high school football program at Trinity Catholic, which is, still a very good high school program. You won a state championship there. Then you were offered the job at JU. You were in charge there, built a very good program. Then you went to Valdosta State as the head coach, won a national title there. You were always in charge of the programs that you were coaching. How difficult was it when you decided to take the leap and go to South Florida with Charlie Strong to not be the guy in charge of the entire program? Was that hard?
Well, I don't know if it was that hard, really, Shane. It was just that, you get in there for 1 year and coach had been there for 3 years and you get in there and you sort of have to, you're dealt the cards that you're dealt, and so I went there with the ideal, hopefully I was going to get a couple, 2 or 3 years and be able to, because they were down. They had lost 7 or 8 straight games the year before. And, when I got there in spring, it really opened my eyes to what I had at Valdosta State. I mean, here's a program and we were national champions. We were really good, and we had a bunch of D1 players. But I had, I told Coach Strong, I said, hey, I got 3 guys at receiver could start here. That's where we need to go as a group, and just, talent-wise. And then my quarterback definitely would have played there. So it's just a situation where I knew we had to rebuild, but we just didn't have that opportunity. And that's what's frustrating, is that when you go into a place, early on, you get a chance to really build and bring in the kind of players that you can win with and that you can be successful with. And, when you go into a place like we did, and I thought they should have gave Coach Strong another year or two. He was doing a good job there, but, just coming in, and we just need to have better players, and we just didn't get an opportunity to do that. That was what was so frustrating.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Kerwin, I mean, as a college coach, and you've been doing it for so many years, you worried about your team, didn't get to watch. You probably watched a few games here and there, but you've been watching a lot of college games sitting on the couch at home.
Well, I have. I've been watching some games, here as it started up, and again, I've been trying to, just doing as much research as I can on my end to help me and to create better opportunities in my playbook and what we can do offensively and see where we can improve. But by talking to a lot of people, but yeah, I love watching football and seeing how people, attack certain people and use their talents to benefit them. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed watching Florida. They've been real explosive on offense, and so that's been fun also.
Speaking of Florida, I want to get your thoughts. I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear your thoughts of what Dan's doing offensively and how you think Kyle Trask is playing.
Well, again, I think they're really explosive. They got a lot of good weapons that they can, get in space, and they also have some balance to them with a run game. I think that's the big thing, is that you see in that conference. First started out Mississippi State with Coach Leach. He was throwing it all over the place, but I think in the end, if you're going to have longevity and be able to be successful, you got to have balance, especially in that league with the kind of defenses that you're going to see. I know they're getting scored on a lot, but still, you got to have balance. And I think Florida has a good enough run game to now this year, I think a little bit better than last year, that they can really complement that throw game. And the tight end there, that Pitts, is just unguardable. He's a guy that's a mismatch on every Saturday that you line up. So. And then I think they're, like you say, their quarterback's playing at a really high level, and so they've got a chance to if they just keep improving defensively, they're going to have a chance to be there at the end.
Speaking of defenses, not only just Florida's, but around the country. I mean, the scoring in college football is just astronomical right now, Kerwin. I basically think it's because quarterback play's gotten really, really good with kids playing and competing in 7-on-7. Not that 7-on-7 is real football, but it allows you to work on your accuracy and things of that nature. But it's all about putting athletes in space. And I try to tell everybody there's a weakness to every defense. And I feel like offensive guys are taking full advantage of that, and the rule changes, how linemen can go downfield and the RPO stuff. Just talk, and that's the main reason I wanted to bring you on today. Just talk about what you're seeing, what offenses are doing to defenses these days to be so successful.
Well, I mean, you hit on it, Shane. In the past, if you had a great front seven, sometimes you could get away with the back end not being as good because people just didn't take advantage of it as much as they are now. Now, every snap, all 11 players on the defensive side got to be playing at a top level, or they're going to find that weakness. And because you are playing, you're playing the whole field. You're trying to play in space, and the 53 and a third width of the field, you're trying to attack. And so, if that corner is not a great tackler, man, now your middle linebacker, who's your best tackler, he's not involved in the play. You're throwing it out there, and now that corner's got to make plays like a middle linebacker. He's got to be able to come up and tackle. So you can't have any weaknesses on your defense in any area. And I think that, along with also just playing at the tempo people are playing at, and then also I think what people are starting to do is they're starting to play their personnel. Shane, we're trying to get those guys who can play at different spots, especially those tight ends. They can play them on the line of scrimmage. Now you got a 3-man surface that you got to play against. You might keep him in the game and put him at fullback, and now you got a 2-back set. He can go out in the slot and be a 4-receiver guy that can get vertical with the other 3 receivers. So, what you're trying to do is keep the same personnel on the field so the defense don't have time to sub. So now you've got them in different packages, and now they've got to be able to react. So basically they got to play a base defense. And if you can do that and you're good enough on offense and you have the versatility of athletes to be able to do that, you really put the defense at a bind, because now they can't just sub all the time. They've got to just play a base defense with base personnel and try to match up as good as they can on every snap in any formation you put them in. And so it really puts them at a sort of a vanilla look. And I think that's why. And then again, like you say, man, people are throwing it and catching it at a high level, Shane. You know that. We thought if we completed 60%, we were good. I mean, now, 70% is up there. And I think it goes back to these 7-on-7s, and kids are playing at such an early age. They've been taught. Receivers are fantastic, the way they've got ball skills and the way they can run and catch the football in traffic. And so you add that all together, I mean, you really got a chance to put up some points. Again, it goes back, I think, though, you got to have some balance to yourself. You can't just throw it every snap, especially in a league like the SEC. But I think if you have balance and you're able to attack all areas of the field, you're going to score points. I think it's proven that, especially this year. Even Alabama, their great defenses are getting scored on because they're finding spots that are weak in their defenses, and it's tough to find to stop offenses that can take advantage of those spots.
Yep, at Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Kerwin Bell on the Titan MR hotline. Yeah, I try to tell people, there's not a perfect defense. There is a weakness to every defense call. Doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is, there is a weakness to that defense that he just called. And offenses are doing tremendous jobs now finding those weaknesses. We got a couple of Facebook Live comments here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. This one is from David, and he says, Kerwin, long time. I married Chrissy, one of the tutors. We followed your career, and we've been rooting for you. Do you remember your Chrissy, one of your tutors?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't remember, but I'll probably do if I seen her. Yeah. But no, yeah. I didn't have to have many tutors, I didn't think, but maybe it was a tough class somewhere. But no, It's been a long time, Shane. It's been a long time since I've been down there.
No doubt. And then Chris says, tell Kerwin Bell he would be amazing at the Jacksonville Jaguars next year. No doubt about that. And then David also says he still remembers Kerwin and the Gators beating number 6 Auburn and Bo Jackson. Speaking of that, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line from Daryl. He wants to know, Kerwin, what was I don't know if you can remember this. He's asking something that happened in 1984. Kerwin, what was the mindset going into the 84 Georgia game? Do you remember that far back?
No, I just know we were on a good roll. We had won a bunch of games there. Well, we went 1-1, and then, Coach Pell got fired and Galen Hall took over, and I think we won 4 or 5 games and went in there like 6-1-1, and was really on a good winning streak and really confident. I was starting to grow up as a young redshirt freshman, and we had everybody around me, a bunch of first-round picks around me at the running back position and the receiver, and our offensive line was amazing. So I know we were really confident, and we went in that game, and I was scared to death. You remember probably, Shane, I always thought I was sort of a veteran going into that game because I played in some big games up till that point. But going into against Georgia there in Jacksonville, the atmosphere is just so different than a regular college football game, and I was scared to death. But we actually won that game. I think we were up 17-0. It was funny in that game, and everybody talked about how Georgia always would come back in that game. And I remember they started on a drive in the third quarter and it took about 10 or 12 plays. They got down inside the 5. We held them in 4 straight plays inside the 5. And then that's when we came in the game, and Galen said, hey, we're going to run it for 3 plays and punt it. Wound up on third play, the third down play, they signaled in sort of a go route. And I was able to drop back and throw it to Ricky Nattil for a 96-yard touchdown pass, which put us up 24-0 and sort of put the game away. But that was sort of what I remember that game, is going in and be able to finish it off there at the end with Ricky and throwing the long touchdown pass. I probably didn't do much before that or after that, but it was a fun day to win that game 27-0. I think we'd lost 7 straight in a row, 7 straight years. So that was a big game for us to win that year.
So speaking of 84, I'm glad we brought that up because, y'all won the SEC in 84, correct?
Right.
Okay. So, I know a lot of the team, your teammates on that team are upset that, there's nothing on the wall in the swamp that says, whether you're first in the SEC. At one time we had the 90 up there, it said first in the SEC, but they made them take that down. You being the quarterback of that team, Kerwin, do you think they should not acknowledge y'all as SEC champions?
Well, we got rings, and it wasn't like they took it before we were announced. I mean, we were announced SEC champions. We got rings and everything. Had the trophy, and to me, a lot of that stuff that happened was way before that team. And we had a new coach in Galen Hall, and to us, we were SEC champions. We did it on the field. It wasn't like you go into a season sometimes they say, hey, you can't win it, and so we knew. Sort of a fake championship, even if you won it. This was a real to life situation we were going through during that season, and no one had taken it away at that time. We went out and won the championship and got the rings in the off season. Then later on, they took it away. So for us, we feel like we were able to be the first team to win the SEC championship. We're proud of that. We're proud of what we went through. I mean, Shane, it was sort of a us against the world mentality we had, because everybody was talking so negative about our program, with all the violations and things that had happened. So we really took it upon ourselves, and we had a very talented football team. But, man, our guys came together, and it really taught me, and when I got into coaching, what it takes to win and what it takes to be a championship team. It takes a mentality where no one cares about each individual stats. If you have, the more you can get your team to just believe in a team concept that, hey, whatever this year happens, it happens because of what the team's going to do. And those accomplishments will outweigh individual accomplishments. And we just all believe we didn't care who carried the ball, who threw the ball, who made the tackles. We just wanted to win. And I've sort of taken that mentality as a coach. Let's just have that mentality. As a coach, during the season, Shane, I don't know what you've done, but, during the season on Sundays, I don't talk a little bit about who had good games, but we don't talk about who was player of the game, who had this or those awards. We wait till the end of the season because to us, it don't matter. It's just how did we win the game? Did we as a football program compete together and have everybody all in to go win the football game? And that's the mentality that we developed that year. And that's sort of the mentality I've tried to develop with my football teams is that, hey, it's all about us as a team. And if we do it well as a team, guess what? Individual awards will come at the end of the season. So let's don't worry about that. Let's worry about helping each other to go win a championship because those things last the rest of your life. You'll never in your life not be called a champion. If you were a champion earlier in your life, you'll always have those memories. And so that's what we try to create.
No doubt about it. I got about 2 minutes with you, Kerwin. Florida's going to be off for about 16 days before they can practice again. And then have about 4 or 5 days to get ready for a football game. People have asked me, is that possible to do? Well, nobody's ever experienced that. It's not like a bye week where they're out there practicing. How difficult you think that's going to be on these players?
Well, I know the coaches, man. You're gonna be worried to death about what happens in between that time with your players. Just making sure they stay healthy and they're where they need to be and they're in a good situation because you control so much when you have them there and you're practicing with them and they're all there together. You have sort of a little bit of control over them. Now you sort of feel scared to death every day. Probably every night Dan goes to bed, he's worried about what's happening with his players and where they're at. So, I'm sure when he gets them back, I don't think they're going to get out of shape and they're not going to get fat like we do when we get old. They're going to stay pretty well in shape. They're young. But it's just a matter of now you got to get them back in their routine. And you got to make sure that they're, again, that they're all there when you start back. You got them all there 100%. They're all healthy. Nobody has the virus. They're all ready to go. That's what you're hoping is that first day back, you have everybody ready to go. And if you do, you're going to get that good weekend. And I think, the coaches are going to be ready to go. I think the players will be ready to go. I think it'll be a great week of practice. And I look for them to play well. They may struggle early a little bit just with just a little bit of rust. But I think as the game goes, you're going to see them play really well because they're going to prepare well that week because they've been off. They don't have fresh minds, fresh bodies, and I think they'll be ready to go.
All right. Well, Kerwin, we appreciate you jumping in for us today. You stay safe, my man. We'll have you back on. Hopefully you'll be coaching somewhere next year, my man.
Yeah, we'll see, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. That's Kerwin Bell joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our final time out. When we come back, we're going to wrap this show up.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to PodUP with Matthews in the morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parrish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TV Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas. And coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR Hotline, and we're joined by former Major League catcher, professional wrestler. I believe he's also an announcer now, AJ Pierzynski. Good morning, AJ. How are you?
I'm good, Shane. Yeah, I am an announcer. It's weird, right? Saying that, hearing that. You're kind of an announcer now too, right?
That's right. We're media boys now. As me and Coach Spurrier do a podcast together too, so we joke around about it. But AJ, I appreciate you joining us. The World Series has kicked off. The Rays against the Dodgers. Are you surprised that these two teams are there, or is this who you expected?
It is. I don't know that I expected it to be there. They were the two best teams all year, so they are the right teams to be in the World Series. I don't know that you ever expect a team like the Rays to actually make the World Series just because you look at their payroll and their players aren't household names like the Dodgers has Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger and Clayton Kershaw and just names you've heard of. The Rays don't have those guys, but they have a bunch of really good players and really good pitchers. So I'm happy that it's who it is. I don't know that you could say that anyone expected it though.
No doubt. Let me ask you this: with all the COVID issues, 60-game season, you being a former player and an announcer and stuff, do you think it went pretty smoothly?
It went as smooth as it could. I know when I did the playoffs back in the first round, the ALDS or the NLDS, the Braves and the Marlins. I mean, I had to get tested every day. So, and I know the players are doing the same things. The only problem I have with the 60-game season is baseball is usually such a long, drawn out season. This year it felt like it started and it was over before it even kind of got started. So that was, I mean, I love baseball. So I love the long season and the drawn out process and the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of it. But with this year, there was just none of that because the season was so short. But yeah, it went as smooth as it possibly could have, only having 60 games.
Do you like how they did the playoff format this year? Do you think they stick to that, or is that just for COVID?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the expanded teams. I love the extra games. Anytime you can add games to the playoffs, I think it's a good thing. I don't know. Every other league is looking to add games to playoffs. Baseball is the only one where people are like, why do we want to add games to some, heck, add games to the playoffs? Anytime you get more meaningful games, it's always good for a sport.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I want to ask you, because I haven't spoken with you in a long time, since the whole Astros, stealing signals. I want your thoughts on that. You being a former catcher, and you're a pretty aggressive type guy. What did you think about that whole deal?
Well, I thought they cheated. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was to me, it was cheating, because I'm fine with stealing signs if you get on second base and you look up and you say, okay, well, the guy's giving the signs or whatever. But when you start using electronics, that's kind of why I think people drew the line at such a random spot, because the electronics changes it. If you're in there going, you can sit there and look, and then you're banging on a garbage can. I mean, that's just not right. That's not the way the game was intended to be played.
When you look at the format they had for the championship series, they played 7 straight days. Do you like that, or do you like
it?
I loved it as a fan, because you knew you had a game every day. But I just thought from a strategy standpoint, the managers really had to earn their money, make good decisions. But they're in the World Series, they're going to take a few days off, right?
Yeah, it's not as bad as like the NBA Finals, where they play a game and then they get a week off every
right.
second day. Where the NBA Finals seem like they go for 2 months. But yeah, I liked it because it showed the true depth, who had the deepest organization, 1 through 28 this year with a 28-man roster. When you get the off days, you can just use your same pitchers, but they had to use strategy. They had to figure out who 5 starters were going to be. Do we bring a guy back early? And then the bullpen came into play. Like, man, we can't throw these guys 7 days in a row. And both series were 7-game series, so you start running into, okay, well, this reliever's thrown 2 days in a row. Can he throw a third day in a row? Can he throw 4 out of 5? And how effective are they going to be? It changed a lot of strategy, and I think that's why ultimately the Dodgers and the Rays won, because they just had more depth.
You talked about the Rays having the better pitching staff. From the lineup from 1 through 9 in the batting order, which team do you like the best?
Oh, the Dodgers have a better lineup. I mean, they have 2 MVPs in their lineup. I mean,
right.
You can't argue that. I mean, they have Betts, they have Bellinger, right? Then you have Corey Seager, who's the NLCS MVP. I think from a name recognition point now, Austin Meadows, if he gets hot, Brandon Lau, if he gets hot, Arozarena has been the best player in baseball for the playoffs. So, I mean, if you never know, because it's always some guy that you've never heard of, or that I shouldn't say you've never heard of, but most casual baseball fans don't know, that comes up and is a star and does something, and you're like, oh man, I don't know that guy, but look at what he did. So you just never know. And all it takes is one guy to get hot at the right time and be the guy to lead his team.
Yeah, I agree with that. So AJ, just so all our fans know here, we have people all around the country that watch and listen to our podcast, but a lot of Gator fans. You're a diehard Gator. You live in Orlando. Let everybody know why you like the Florida Gators.
Well, I grew up I was born in New York. I moved to Orlando when I was 2, but I grew up going to all the Gator games. I mean, my first real college football memory was Oklahoma State, 1990, in the swamp. I mean, I think you probably remember that game a little bit too.
Just a little.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of like I was, 13 years old, had come up with a few buddies of mine. I was living in a little town called Brooksville at the time. And we drove up with our parents, and we sat in the stands. And this was before Ben Hill Griffith even had like a north end zone. It was just like a fence over there on that end. So it's a couple bleachers. So that was like kind of, I mean, I remember going to games and it was still turf. But the one memory I remember was walking in 90, Spurrier's first game, obviously your first game, and in the crowd, the first play, the other team had to call a timeout, and I was kind of hooked ever since then. Yeah,
no doubt. It was some good times. You're doing coaching a lot of youth baseball, right?
No, I try to stay out of it, Shane. I go to a lot of youth baseball, but I just watch because coaching, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the kids were unbelievable, but I couldn't handle the parents. Yeah,
well, I was going to ask you also. I'm sure you can't handle the umpires at these youth baseball tournaments as well. I figured you'd have been thrown out of a couple of games already.
No. I say we were just up in Panama City this past weekend for a perfect game, like the World Wood Bat, World Series, teams all over the country, and there's plays and parents start yelling at the umpire, and I'm like, guys, relax. Like it's a 13 and 14-year-old kids. No one's going to remember this 2 weeks from now. So like let's calm down. It's not life or death, but you get excited, you get fired up because you want your kid to do well, right? And you want your kid to succeed, and you want your kids' team, because what happens is you have these teams, and we kind of have a little local team with a couple kids from Gainesville, and most of our team is from the Orlando area, and you get them, and you want them to do well because you become friends with the parents, you become friends with the kids, and you want the kids to do well. So I think that's what the investment is. And then you always think the umpire's screwing you, right? Like, oh, this guy's job, he doesn't care. He just wants his $50 and to go home quick, right?
Exactly.
So you have to understand that. But yeah, we got Pinkins, the assistant basketball coach. His kid is on our team at Florida. He's a really good pitcher. He won the pitcher of the tournament, and a couple other kids up from Gainesville. So we got a good little team they run around.
Is your boy a catcher?
He is. Yeah, I try to talk him out of it, but he loves it. I don't know why. It's too hard. I'm like, dude, play outfield or shortstop. You have more fun. But he's like, no, I want to be a catcher, and so I do the best I can to help him. But I also try to stay out of the way more than not.
Yeah, I understand. Last thing for you, AJ. Obviously, the Gators only played 3 games this year. You know, you and I have texted for the last 5, 6, 7 years. I know your frustration, but you got to be happy with Dan Mullen as the football coach, right?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't have COVID for too long. He's been great. I mean, offensively, they look like a different animal than what they had. Obviously, the first 3 games, the defense hasn't been where we all thought it would be, but I think they're going to be okay. Look, it always comes down to Georgia, right? Can they beat Georgia? And on November 7th, if they beat Georgia, they'll be back to where they want to be, which is hopefully a shot at the SEC championship in Alabama and go from there. But I feel like, at least, I mean, our frustration, I know talking to you, has been, where's all the points? Like, they went for years and years and didn't score points, but at least now they're scoring points. So at least it gives you something to look forward to. Like, hey, we can actually complete a forward pass now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Joe. Joe wants to know, AJ, did you have a chance or an offer to come play baseball at Florida?
I did not. That is one of the funny stories. Friends of mine always make fun of me because I actually signed with the University of Tennessee. And I was a huge Florida fan, as you know, growing up. And Joe Arnold was the coach. It was his last year. And I had 3 kids 3 years in a row before me sign with Florida. And they all turned professional. 2 of them made it to the major leagues, Brian Barber and some guy named Johnny Damon. And then another guy the next year named Brian Costello. And Joe Arnold called me and said, hey, I can't take the chance of recruiting you and you not coming. I'm on the hot seat and I need to win. And I literally on the phone was like, look, I'll come to Florida. I'll give you my word. I'll come there. I won't sign. And he's like, I can't take that chance. And so then I ended up signing with Tennessee, knowing in my mind there was a chance I would never go there. I never went there. So I'm not a Tennessee fan. But, yeah, it was kind of an odd story that I would have gone to Florida, but unfortunately Joe Arnold was like, yeah, I can't take that chance. He ended up getting fired. And I think Andy Lopez came in after that. But with Kevin O'Sullivan, who's there now, I was a coach when I was in the Twins organization. So I obviously still root for Florida and Gator baseball.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the new ballpark, but it is phenomenal. And
I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. They're ready to play in it. And they are supposedly on paper, this is going to be the strongest college baseball team that we've ever had on paper. You never know how that's going to turn out, but should be a big year for them. AJ, appreciate you taking the time to join us, my man. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Shane. Thanks, buddy, and go Gators.
Yes, sir. That's AJ Pierzynski. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this show. You're watching and listening to PodUP with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach Steve Spurrier. Check out our show Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number 1 choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TD Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe,
Big Mills Cheesesteaks,
MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to PodUP with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. It's Peachland Dentistry. JC and the QB weekend picks. JC, we've had an action-packed show with AJ Pierzynski, Kerwin. We don't have a whole lot of time to hear from JC this week. Let's get straight to the picks.
All right, so you took you took Clemson laying the 45 against Syracuse, as did I. You took Louisville laying the 4.5. I got Florida State. I think they found something with the quarterback there. Oklahoma is laying 7. They're on the road to TCU. TCU,
I like the Horned Frogs.
Oklahoma with a big win. Yeah, give me the Horned Frogs. Give me the 7 points all day long. Gary Patterson should be the next coach of Texas. Ohio State. Here we go. The Big Ten game. 26-point favorites at home against Nebraska. The last 4 years they've played, Ohio State has won by 41, 5, 42, and 59 points. They are laying 26 in the opening game of the Big Ten. Well, what's going to happen in that one?
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go with Nebraska losing by 25 points.
24 is for me, too. I'll take the 26, and I think Adrian Martinez and the Huskers will keep it within 30 points. Oklahoma State, this is a good game in the Big 12. Laying 3.5. They are the home team against the Iowa State Cyclones under Matt Campbell, who after losing their first game have won 4 straight. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Iowa State. Game. I'm going to take the Cyclones.
Are you really? I'm surprised you take Iowa State there instead of those Cowboys. Pistol Pete. Auburn in the SEC is on the road. A lot of controversy, a lot of dissension right now. That locker room is a mess because Bo Nix doesn't know who to listen to, his dad or the coaches on the sideline. Auburn is laying 3. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is, right? A son of a coach is having a hard time dealing with Chad Morris. Although Chad Morris, when he was at Clemson, did really well. And it's not all Chad Morris.
Chad Morris had Deshaun Watson, though. Bo Nix can't play. He is not very good. I said it when he played in the Swamp. Whether he's playing for his dad, he's playing for Pat Dye, he's playing for Gus, it doesn't matter. He cannot play quarterback in the SEC.
Okay.
Ole Miss stinks, but I like Ole Miss's quarterback a lot better. I'm taking the Rebels.
The guy who threw 6 interceptions last week.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. At least he knows what he's doing.
Okay. I got them with 3 points as well at home. I can't stand Auburn. I think they're terrible. Here's an easy one for you, QB. Tennessee, who has lost 15 straight since Nick Saban took over at Alabama. Nick Saban has won by 20, 31, 31, 14, 39, and 37 at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee hasn't covered the spread since 2015, and for some reason they're only getting 21 points after last week. You got Alabama.
They're going to get blown out.
They're going to run the score up. Kentucky laying 5.5 at Missouri. Missouri hasn't played since that LSU game, so they get 2 weeks off. Kentucky is on a seeming little bit of a roll here, but they're laying 5.5 on the road at Mizzou. Basilak's done well for Missouri, but they've been off for 2 weeks. What do you think?
I like the Missouri Tigers at home. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but Kentucky in the last 2 games have had around 400 yards of total offense in 2 games. They stink on offense. I think Missouri finds a way to keep it very close.
Okay, I'm going to go with you there too. Gosh, we're almost identical on these picks. How can I catch up? Missouri getting 5.5. Here's another one I think we're going to be the same on. The South Carolina Gamecocks, who've won 2 straight SEC games against an LSU team that's got a lot of injury issues, had the week off last week, but I'm not sure about Miles Brennan in this game.
He's out.
However, okay, well then if he's out, they still are laying 6 points in this game.
Yeah,
that surprises me.
South Carolina's going to win the game.
Outright. And then I agree with you. Gee whiz. We're basically going to have the same pick. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Auburn and give you Ole Miss just so that we have 2 different picks so I can catch you.
You don't have to do that, JC.
Well, but I mean, Ole Miss, I don't trust them either. Pittsburgh and Tennessee is your NFL game of the week. You have two 5-0 teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers are getting 1 point against Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill. The game's in Nashville. What do you like?
I'm going to go with the hot team. Well, they're both hot, but the way the Titans are playing, they're hardly even practicing. I'm taking the home team. I'm taking the Tannehill and Derrick Henry.
And Derrick Henry running all over America. You know, we mentioned the Big Ten, and I am as well. The Big Ten is starting this weekend. You realize the Pitt Panthers in the ACC have already played 6 games. So they haven't had any issues, obviously, with some of the virus issues and distractions. This will be their 7th game, and the Big Ten is just starting. I'm just glad that the folks who were really fighting hard for the Big Ten to play football won out over the folks and writers, sports writers, who said they shouldn't play. And now they want to cover the sport.
I'm going to add some games real quick. We got about 3 more minutes. That way, maybe we'll get some differences here. I'm looking at the ticker here. Pitt is playing Notre Dame, who's ranked 3rd in the country somehow. Notre Dame's favored by 10.5. Who do you like?
Well, you know, I would say Pitt, but their quarterback issues bother me, so I'll take Notre Dame minus 10.
Okay. I want Pittsburgh. I don't care who's playing quarterback for them. Notre Dame stinks.
Okay.
Penn State, 8th in the country, laying 6 at Indiana.
You know, this is one of those games where Indiana leads early and loses late, but I'll take Indiana.
I like Indiana in that game as well. Let me see what else we can find here to make it somewhat interesting.
Well,
here's the best college game of the week that you didn't even put on here. Michigan minus 3 at Minnesota.
You're right. That is actually a Saturday night game. I'm going to row the boat because I don't think Harbaugh and Michigan, they have to show it to me. I don't know if Minnesota's the same team that won that bowl game last year, but I like the sound of.
I like the Gophers. Here's the second best game. Who is in charge of you picking these games? Here's the second best college game. 9th ranked Cincinnati undefeated against undefeated SMU. SMU is minus 2.5 against the Bearcats.
I'm going to take Shane Buechele and the SMU Ponies because I have the jersey and 2 visors. You don't.
Okay, so I'll take the Bearcats in that game.
You take Cincinnati. And what is the spread? 2.5?
Yes.
Cincinnati's laying 2.5. All right, so in those extra games, I took Notre Dame, Notre Dame and SMU. We both took Indiana and Minnesota.
Oh, let's do one more game. I just saw it's another ACC game. Boston College. Minus 3.5 against your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
I'll take BC.
Well, I will too, so never mind. I'm trying to give you some games here.
We're going to
try to win,
that
JC.
Game. I'll tell you one that I'm going to take that I know because you're so predictable with who you pick because you always play favorites. That's how you do it. And so I'm going to give you one more game if I can just get my phone.
Majority of the games that I think I took underdogs, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's some people would say that's the smartest thing you could do. So how about we go with now I'm getting soccer on my phone. Gee whiz. QB, find me one more game.
We got 1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Well, let's do this. By the end of the weekend, who will be leading in the World Series, the Dodgers or the Rays? They play
what days
tonight.
Are they playing? They're playing tonight?
They're playing tonight.
When do they play again?
They're playing tomorrow night, too.
Well, that's a dumb bet. I'm not even. That's a silly wager.
That's dumb. Okay, let's do this one then. Let's take the. Let's do another Big Ten game. Iowa and Purdue. Iowa is 3.5 over Purdue.
Okay, I'll take Purdue. I'll take Purdue.
I'll take Iowa.
Okay, JC. We want to apologize for the technical difficulties today. It was out of our control. We could not control when the system crashes, all that stuff. But everybody have a safe weekend. We'll recap college football with JC and Danny Werfel on Monday. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.
All right.